I am known here on YouTube for giving you guys all the dirty details, the minute little things that maybe you need to know for a makeup product to perform here on my channel. But with the wave of short form content really making this major wave over the past few years, it has really diluted a lot of the makeup reviews, which is why I'm always going to be YouTube leaning, because I feel like that is where you get all of the nuances on how does a product work. Is it good for you? Is it good for your collection? Is it worth your dollars? Today, I'm gonna be doing a little de-influencing and just letting you know things that I would not be buying, things that I'm not buying. And this does include some PR that I have received. So I'm hoping this isn't too salacious or a little spicy, but truly, I'd rather you save your money because this is getting out of hand. One of the top things I'm gonna tell you right away I no longer purchase is backups. Backups for me are not products that I feel like I need, even if they're like my most favorite product. And I used to do this even when I lived in a legit tiny house on wheels. If you guys have been following me that long, I love you. Thank you so much. And if you are newer to my channel, yes friends, I lived in a legit tiny house. So I had a very small makeup space, but that didn't mean my collection was small. I almost feel like some days my collection is smaller here in my big house compared to what I had then, because I had backups. I had things I wasn't using, things I felt guilty about holding on to, but I didn't want to declutter, so I felt guilty about that. It was a whole thing. As far as backups go, I feel like I don't need backups. I don't think that they are necessary, and that's going to lead into the next thing I don't think is necessary, and you're going to see this everywhere on YouTube, as well as mostly TikTok and Instagram, but it's all of the viral things. You keep seeing every other day there's a new viral blush that has a crazy name, and I don't mean like the blush itself has a crazy name, but I'm meaning more like how it started with glazed donut nails, it became glazed donut makeup, it became blueberry eyes, it became all of these crazy Barbie pink blush names and weird sunburn glow, whatever they're calling it. It's just all of the virality of the naming trends of makeup, but also the viralness of products, especially that have come from TikTok. I kind of don't trust a lot of those reviews. I don't put myself on TikTok beauty necessarily as far as my algorithm goes, because I don't trust those reviews. I only trust YouTube for that. That's also why I do this here. So when it comes to something that maybe I have discovered, I'm going to look into the reviews. I also like to know the dirty details before I get into things sometimes. So finding out that some of these viral products tend to lean into then carbon copying things, like all of the liquid bronzers that have been coming out lately. Previously, it was a variety types of cream blushes. Matte was out, glowy was in, so we were getting a ton of just copy and paste type products. It became so overwhelming because of virality of things. So it didn't necessarily mean it was quality or necessarily mean that they were good products. So again, for me personally and what I present here on my channel, I would much rather be more, what do you have in your collection already focused? What are you loving? What do you maybe need more of? What do you definitely not need more of? Because when I sit here and think about it, there are new makeup collections dropping all the time that do stop me and go, oh, that's really pretty. But do I already have a palette like that? Do I really need something new just to buy new because it's the new moment? Like I just said, I'm seeing a ton of cream bronzers coming out from a variety of brands. But in reality, do I really need a lot of cream bronzers when I tend to be more powder focused? Probably not. I do have a few things in my collection that I do love and I use pretty regularly. I love my Merit Stick, that's a cream bronzer. I also really am liking the new e.l.f. version that is a dupe for a Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. There are certain ones I already have in my collection and I don't need to just buy the newest ones because they're on trend mood and I feel like, oh, I might be missing out. For me personally, and the way I like to do my makeup and have my collection be more curated, I don't want an influx of things that are just gone viral because it was a 1-minute video on TikTok for creators to essentially really push those viral moments that the brands are really leaning into with TikTok versus what I know I will actually use in my collection. I don't want to waste space in my beauty room and I don't want to waste my money or the product. I feel like this topic might be a little spicy, and this is going to lean into some of the PR that I am not purchasing. So I may get it sometimes in PR, but it doesn't mean I'm throwing my money at it at the moment. Doesn't mean I haven't in the past, doesn't mean I won't again. And I feel like this might get me in a little bit of trouble, but I'm here to be honest with you. I do get PR, and I'm very honest with you guys when I do my reviews. I've definitely done some recently that I will link above, but you definitely know when I'm not putting my own money towards things. And the biggest one that I think is so obvious, I can't not mention it, is BoxyCharm. I prided myself for years on being not only like a subscriber from like 2016, 2015 with BoxyCharm, before it was just Ipsy. And then once I finally did get on the PR list, which was like the most exciting thing for me, I was so proud, and I would regularly say I am doing like my paid for versus the PR, even when they came at totally drastic different times of the month. I was giving you all of the dirty details in most of my videos. Like that's what my channel was kind of known for a really long time, was BoxyCharm. So it's very apparent that now I don't put my money towards that. And that was such a hard decision for me because I love my BoxyCharm and I love what it represented for me. I loved the OG BoxyCharm. And then it just got downhill more and more after, we all know Joe, Yosef, the owner, sold to Ipsy, and it just totally wasn't worth the money. I was getting duplicate boxes from my PR versus paid for because it was really showing me there was no difference once the takeover for sure happened, and I was just getting duplicates, and there's only so much I could give away. There was only so many giveaways I could do, so it made way more sense for me personally as a person, as a human that pays bills, lives my life. I was like, I need to take that money and invest it into other things for my channel, whether that be high-end makeup, new makeup I can try that's coming out. BoxyCharm was not doing as well on the algorithm. Views were not doing that great. So I was like, this seems like a smart decision. And that's honestly where it's landed now for years now. I don't put my own money towards BoxyCharm or Ipsy at this time. If it kept getting like better back, like close to what we had before, where it was like we were seeing great takeover boxes from Fenty's and Tarte's and Anastasia's and getting really hyped amazing products again that I'm excited for, I would definitely consider putting my money towards that again and being an actual subscriber. But I don't buy them anymore. I don't put my money towards that, and it is because I don't need to. I don't have that FOMO. I really don't. I wish I had the FOMO a little bit. Truly, I do. Because sometimes there's so much on the market now, even though for some reason, it feels like YouTube and the algorithm is trying to convince people beauty and makeup is kind of like not on trend anymore. Y'all, with the amount of releases, these brands are smart. They're not going to keep releasing this much product if it wasn't actually being purchased. If they wouldn't add more SKUs to their lines if they weren't selling and they weren't making a profit. So makeup is still very much a thing. If anything, we know the clean girl vibe is the idea of the moment, and it has been for a little bit, but we're starting to see, if we're looking at a bell curve, it's on the downward spiral of like we're getting back more into the bronzers we're seeing a ton of being released right now. Probably highlighters, a little bit more glam. We're kind of getting out of all of the serums and all of the clean girl, just bare minimum makeups to some degree. Like I said, it's on a bell curve. It's not all finite and you do what you want with makeup. But it kind of hurts me to say that I'm not purchasing those anymore. And it just hurts on a more like sentimental level, not a I'm missing out kind of level. As many of you know, because you probably watched my videos on when I do Boxy, you get why. You do. Another thing I'm just not purchasing is all of the excessive amount of serums and skincare that have been hitting the market over the past like year or two. And I have been getting a lot of those in PR as well. And I just really have to weed through what I think is going to work well for my skin. And luckily at this point in my makeup and skincare journey, I know so much more about what does work for me personally and what's not even worth me trying because of my sensitive skin. Breakouts are a thing. I'm actually overcoming a few right now. But honestly, I'm having to really pull back on the skincare because so much of it has come not only just from BoxyCharm and Ipsy, which we have talked about ad nauseum in my other videos, but just what I'm even getting in PR. I remember seeing so much stuff immediately from CoverGirl a few years ago that was transitioning from makeup to skincare, and it was the first time I had gotten some PR from CoverGirl ever. And I even did like a little Zoom meeting with them, and they were just really hyping up their skincare. And it was a little disappointing because I was like, oh man, I want them to send me makeup. And okay, maybe the skincare is gonna be great, you know, maybe I will use this. I didn't use much of it and ended up giving some of it away. And then it just really snowballed from there over the past few years of every brand having a serum, every brand having some type of beneficial liquidy product, whether they're calling it a serum or not. And it's just been a lot. It's a little too much. I don't go out of my way now to purchase serums at all. Mostly because I get a ton of them in my BoxyCharm if I need some. But I'm not even buying the ones that I get in PR either. So do what you want with that. Something else that I am not purchasing, even as the things are coming out that are newer, that get me excited, are, I guess, something I could call like more my fantasy or like event type makeup. I don't know what to call this because there are some makeup releases that come out that are out of my normal practice of something I would want to wear, but it still gives me that finger buying itch of like, I want to click it. I want to click the put it to cart. I want to click the buy now when I first see it. Right now, the thing that's on top of my mind is the new Natasha Denona palette. That's like the gold palette. What's it actually called? Oh, it's a new golden collection, and it's a golden. It's not gold. It's the golden eyeshadow palette. It's $70, and I just purchased her $55 powder foundation. Did a video on that. You could check it out here. So it's one of those things where I'm looking at it going, oh my gosh, I love the nudes in there. I would definitely wear the nudes. The golds are getting me excited. But do I have a lot of that in my collection? That's what I'm having to ask myself at this moment. And truthfully, I'm gonna do a little hike into my drawer really quick. Nudes, I clearly have an abundance of. This is just touching a little bit of the iceberg here, including in my Natasha palettes, which I have a ton of those. ColourPop that I love. REM Beauty, Ofra, I have a ton. Way more than this even. But for golds, I don't have a ton. I do have just like a few pieces of gold. So I have to sit here and think through as I'm looking at some of these things like, ooh, this has some of the gold things in it maybe I would love to play with. I'm even pulling out my Natasha palettes as you see me struggle on camera. The Glam does have a little touch of gold with obviously a lot of cool toned nudes. The Sunrise palette, obviously a more warm palette, but it does have a few options that could, you know, scratch that makeup itch. Ooh, the Zendo palette actually has a nice gold right here, kind of a little bit more orangey gold. But those are the type of things I mean. Like, I would rather suss through my collection first and then decide, because sometimes things come out that are so fantasy, like a all like yellow or green or blue palette that really gets my mind going of, oh, I don't have an all yellow palette. I don't have a green and yellow palette. I don't have a, what's that Milk Cosmetics palette? Because sometimes I just want to try a new brand and I'm like, oh, that's pretty. The Smoke Sessions palette, it's got a lot of beautiful colors in it. That kind of got me a little excited, especially when I see other people using things like that. But then I'm like, do I actually use any of these more bold colors? It's like, not really. Like, I mean, as long as it can kind of work with a nude like this, yes, I would definitely use. I have so much in my collection, I have to pull myself back to remind myself, like, I don't need that. And therefore I don't end up purchasing it, but it gets me all in a tizzy for just a little bit. Do you guys have that where you get the makeup flusters, where you just like get Twitter-pated over some makeup for a hot second? And then you're like, no, I don't need that. I've been doing, you know, just a little bit of yo-yoing and a little bit of the roller coasters from time to time, but then I just remind myself I don't need it. This one is a little like, I'm on all of these. Obviously, we all have the right to change our minds as time progresses. And right now, and over the past 1, 2, maybe 3 years now, I have not purchased highlighters. Which is kind of funny because highlighters used to be the thing that as soon as I saw a new highlighter drop back in the day, I was like, I need this. I need this in my life right this second. How do I get this gorgeous, shimmery moment all over my face? Like, I wanted to bathe in the highlighter at one point. And now I can't remember the last time I purchased a highlighter. I also can't remember the last time that I saw something that even gave me the itch to want to buy it. And I know, again, makeup is on that pendulum. It is always going to swing around. But right now, and in the past few years, I've not been needing highlighters. And it's not because there's not good quality highlighters out there, but my collection still runneth over, my friends. My collection is still large and in charge. Even though I just did a massive declutter, I know myself. And I know that once it comes time to pull out some more highlighters, I want my faves in the drawer along with any newbies that may start tempting me. But I've not been needing a lot of them, especially with the skincare and the glowy primers that I've been loving. I feel like even today, I look really glowy in the face, but like a natural good glow that's coming from a primer, not from a powder product, not from a liquid product. Well, the primer's liquid, but you know what I'm saying. It's not from a blush, it's not from a liquid highlighter. It's making my skin look glowy, not like a highlighter. So that's just honestly where it has been for me. So I haven't needed any highlighters. This next thing is something I do talk about, but not at length on my channel. But I do say, if it's not cruelty-free, I'm not putting my money towards it. And that is something that I made a conscious decision of back in my St. Louis days. I do think I was a little influenced by some of the current content creators that I was loving at the time, but it made so much sense for me because I knew I really wanted to put a big focus here on my channel. Even though I'm not a massive content creator, I spend a majority of my week, every week, planning YouTube, filming YouTube, editing YouTube, having makeup, buying makeup, getting PR. Eventually I wanted PR, and now I'm lucky enough that I do get some PR from time to time. I wanted it to be a very conscious collection that I was carrying. Even if it got to be excessive at times and required declutters, which it has, I didn't want the makeup in my collection because makeup is a want, not a need. Yes, I need it some days to feel my best, but it's not something I couldn't live without. And as a dog mom, I don't want to promote products on my channel that, feels like so sticky to talk about, but I don't want to promote things on my channel that harm animals. I don't. And it's more just a personal thing, not trying to put anything on you, but that's why I don't talk about Estee Lauders on my channel. I don't talk about Rimmels, Maybellines. It feels like 2024, we should be able to have all our cosmetics be cruelty-free. So it's just like a way for me to vote with my dollars. And also my platform here. So if I get something that's not cruelty-free, I may unbox it if it comes in a BoxyCharm, but you're not gonna see me putting it on my face. You're not gonna hear me talking about it, and I don't use it off camera. I give it away or I donate it because I just sit here and I think of Penny and Cooper, and I'm like, what if somebody, it's not like they're just putting blush on a dog or a rabbit. They're like literally torturing animals. And I can't just out of my own consciousness. I'm not gonna show anything. I'm not gonna talk much more because I know it can be a little squeamish, but if it's not cruelty-free, I'm not gonna be promoting it, talking about it here knowingly at all. So that's just where I land on that. That has not changed for me over the past few years. And I really want some brands to go cruelty-free because they have such great quality makeup that it just feels wrong that they're even needing it to this point in time to test on animals. You know, it's just like, let's move on with that. I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but similar releases. I know that for a while, and sometimes even now, comparison videos on YouTube are a big thing. Like, I do sometimes compare some things. Like, recently I talked about how Clearly Drunk Elephant took over the market last year, and now everyone is doing the glowy drops with, you know, skincare and that, along with creamy liquid bronzers. Used to be blushes were the new trend of all of the drops coming back to back to back. Now it looks like this year it's going to be bronzers. It is summer, so it makes sense that they're all coming out about now, but you know what I mean. It just gets to be so overwhelming that I'm like, I don't need 15 liquid bronzers in my collection, especially when I'm not using liquid bronzers really. Similar products have over the past few years really been something I've pumped the brakes on. If something comes out that really gets me excited, that's great. But as far as like needing a million bronzers or a million highlighters or a million of lipsticks, I don't feel like I need that anymore. I only have one face here on this channel, and I'd rather try stuff that I'm more excited to try versus, oh, this is the latest and greatest, this is the newest thing. If I see it coming out latest and greatest and I already have something like it, I'm not buying it. Bold blushes on the face have been such a trend the past few years, haven't they? I don't know if like the Barbie movie hype was getting that going or just the way blush was going in general. But yes, blush has been a thing, but the bold blush is as bold as my nails. And I'm like, no friends, no, that's not going on my face like that. I also just wanted to show off my nails. This is like the main character of the month. Every time I go in to get my nails done, I look at my nail tech and I'm like, girl, this is what I want to do this month. Can we make it happen? And you see her do the deep sigh of like, yep, we can do it. I mean, it's every time. I'm like, this is my main character for the month and I'm loving her. Fine on the nails, not for the face. I tend to lean more because of my undertone, because of my hair color, because of my skin tone. Corals work better on me. And that's why I knew this was definitely a trend with the one size blush palette that I got from BoxyCharm. Like these bubblegum pinks aren't even like as bold as some of them come. But for me even, this is like out of the comfort zone. I tend to be more on the corally side, a little on the deeper, richer side, things that go with the bronzer. I really think I have on enough blush actually today, so I'm just gonna tap it on. I only had on a little bit of a cream blush. But you see what I'm saying? Just goes so much better with my skin tone, my undertone. For me, that flows so much better than something Barbie pink. Like this is honestly the closest I have to like a Barbie pink because your girl doesn't hold on to those things. And I also have a problem with when I see something as a trend, especially the way trends go these days, it's like fast and furious. It's zooming in and it's zooming back out to make room for the next. Pick a crazy name, gasoline face makeup. I don't know, I made that part up, but it's probably a trend somewhere because there's just weird names for them everywhere. And I'm like, I'm gonna work with my face, with my undertones, with my coloration, so I love what I'm using, not just because everybody's throwing out a hot pink blush right now. Jelly makeup products, that new viral jelly blush that I think TikTok made that kind of like the thing and then it trickled everywhere. Do you know what I'm talking about? I started seeing it all over YouTube as well right after I saw it on TikTok. It's kind of like, I was just looking at it going, it's like so it's a wet product, it's applied on a wet jelly item, so it's more like a liquid blush. I've tried liquid blushes, I don't care for them that much. Again, that kind of leans into trends, the way it applies. I don't foresee all makeup going to jelly. So, I mean, I think I have what's called a jelly highlighter, but it's not like on that wobbly stick that I think everybody just has this intrusive thought of like, what if you bit into that? And someone actually did and regretted it. This is the Steve Laurent jelly highlighter that I've had for years. It's just more creamy, not exactly jelly. Beautiful, looks great on the skin. Perfect for summertime, but like that little well, also it's just not how I like to apply makeup. A lot of times things are also going to come down to my own personal creature of habit styles of how I do makeup. I don't tend to even think of things like that. I have stuff in my collection even that's not bad products, but I don't think to reach for them all the time. Like I have to make a conscious thought to try something else than my normal, either a powder or maybe the creams that I'm already using, but adding something that's like a jelly to it. Just because it's trending or just because it's viral of the moment. We talked about virality. I don't feel like I personally need that and I don't need to waste my dollars on that. Tell me what you guys are thinking as far as where are you influencing yourself? Where are your no buys necessarily or your anti-hauls? These are things for me personally that I am not purchasing, haven't been purchasing for a while, and I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this down below because there's been so many fast releases coming at ya. I'm curious how you're choosing and picking what you're purchasing versus what you're not purchasing. Thank you guys so much. I will see you in the next one. Bye, friends. So let's jump into everything that I feel about the upcoming summer. That's all I'm gonna be doing. I think it is worth the splurge to invest in something to save your money on this summer are going to be more of the Nichole of 5 years ago could probably never. Heck, I feel like the Nichole of 3 years ago would never. Talk about something that I don't know if I've ever really delved into too much, but summertime is when it is hot and we want to be comfortable. I have not thought I would jump into the new